Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. We're on day 13. It's been almost 2 weeks of back to back sessions that we're doing, and I'm so happy and so excited to see your questions, to see your comments, to see the way all of you are learning, growing, and engaging together. And so today I decided that I'm going to select a topic which is definitely going to help every single one of us take the action step to unlock a next breakthrough. And tell me if you resonate with this, but has something that I noticed which becomes the biggest blocker in people's journey to their growth and success, no matter which area of life it is. And it is this: their inability to make decisions properly. You see, it's not that we don't know what to do, it's not that we don't have the clarity on the things that are required or the action steps or the outcomes that we want, but that somewhere, for some reason, we are unable to make the right decisions. And because of that, a few years later, we'll look back in regret and say, oh my god, I should not have made this decision, I should have chosen something else. And whether it's in our relationships or in our career, a lot of us, and a lot of us would be like a smaller thing to say, almost all of us have this one pattern where later on, after we've made a decision, we end up regretting it and we feel like we should have done something different. This happens in both small ways and big ways. Let me give you examples of both so you understand exactly what I mean. So let's take the small example of what it means to not make a right decision. It's like saying this: I had a sandwich for breakfast today. I'm feeling so bloated because of that. I should have had something else instead. Now, that right there is a very small, inconsequential example of a decision gone wrong. A sandwich for breakfast or something else for breakfast doesn't really affect your life in the long run. But in that moment, when you're dissatisfied with your decision, you're practicing the pattern of regretting things. Now, the more you practice this on a smaller scale, ever since you were a kid or since you were younger, we learn this habit. And here's how we learn it: on the smallest of things, we are told, you shouldn't have made that mistake. Why did you make that mistake? You should know better. And we start correcting ourselves in that way. Why did I make the wrong decision? I should have done better. I should have known better. And because that regret then becomes a pattern, that thinking of I should have done something else becomes a pattern, you end up going into the big decisions of your life and you end up making decisions that are not the right ones. Now, for people, this turns out to be decisions as big as choosing the wrong life partner. You see, when we make the decision of who to marry, it's such a big decision if you think about it. But a lot of us treat it like a casual, whimsical decision. And here's what I mean by that. If it's a love marriage where two people are connecting with each other, it's very rare for that decision making to happen in a very conscious, compatible, and clear way where both people are willing to have honest conversations on exactly where they're stuck, what their aims are in life, what their ambitions are, and how they both fit together. And if it's an arranged marriage, a lot of the times the discussions are very limited, but the commitment happens much faster. And then either it works out very well and it turns out to be the best marriage ever, or the pattern of regret repeats there again. You're like, why did I marry this person? Anybody else would have been better than this mess that I have at my home. And you'd be surprised by how many people actually feel that way. I've coached a lot of people on relationships, so I know this is a pretty common feeling that people have. And it's a regret pattern that they're going through. Just like that, in our careers and in other situations of our lives or our finances, we end up making decisions and mistakes that are so big that for years and years and years, we regret them. We're like, why did I do that? I should not have done that. And now, then what happens is, in the future, when we have to make big decisions again, oh, we are scared. We don't know if we can do that. We don't know if we can take the action to make a right decision, because all our life has been proof of decisions going wrong. And so that makes us a safe player. That makes us think, life is too risky. I should not take risks in my life. But the truth again there is, no risk life means no life. I'll repeat it. A no risk life means no life. You cannot always make the right decisions, but because you cannot make the right decisions, you cannot avoid making decisions at all. People who do that end up feeling stuck and frustrated at whatever level they are in their lives, but then they feel, you know what? It's okay. I can handle this much. I'll be okay here. But then that's not a happy life. That's a sacrificing life. And I know you don't want that life. You want a life that's expansive. You want a life that's great. You want a life where you can succeed. So, how can you create that? That's the question. Well, for that, you need to learn and master the skill of decision making. Now, I'll be honest with you, it is not a 15-minute thing. There are entire workshops, entire curriculums, entire courses, entire books written around the process of decision making. It's a much deeper game than all of us realize. But today, I want to give you that head start, and I want to help you with just one parameter that will drastically improve the quality of the decisions you make. And that parameter is understanding this one thing. In the decisions that you make, what are you doing? Are you moving towards something, or are you running away from something? That's the only question I want you to focus on right now in this moment. We'll cover a lot of things later on in the days that come, but this is the foundational step. So be present here and pay attention. You see, human beings work on only two principles. Either it is about gaining pleasure or avoiding pain. And it's not just the modern human being that does this. This is the way our brain has been wired for years and years and years, millions of years. So it's a hard-wired biological program that makes us seek out pleasure in our lives, and it makes us avoid pain in our lives. Now, when it comes to our decision making, we like to think that we are very logical, rational, perfect human beings. But if I have permission to be honest with you, I'll tell you this: we are not. When it comes to making decisions, even the most logical one that we make often has an irrational base. We may not see it because we don't like to accept the fact that we are irrational in our decision making, but it is there. There's no denying of that fact. So here's what I mean by moving towards something and moving away from something. Essentially, it's a lens on pain and pleasure. When you move towards something, it's out of pleasure of what you can expect and what you can get. When you move away from something, it's that you don't want anything more, so anything else that you get, well, that is better. Now, which approach should you take? Here's my honest answer. When you're making big decisions in life, when you're making pivotal decisions, like which career to follow, or who to marry, for example, or who to be friends with, or which city to live in, or which country to live in, or which business to pursue, all these different ideas, never ever use the escaping or moving away from something lens to make that decision. And here's why. I'll give you an example. Imagine that there are two people who have made the decision to move to New York City. It's one of the most famous cities in the world. It has all the facilities. It's the hub for innovation, for business, for acting, for music, for everything. So it's a very lively city that's there. And two people have decided to move. Person 1 and person 2, both of them have the same background, the same education, the same social status. So on a circumstance level, both sides are the same. Got this much? Perfect. So this is where we are beginning from. Same background, same two kinds of people who have both made the decision to move to New York City. Now, person one has made the decision because he got a beautiful job offer from a company there. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to make it big there. I have so much potential for growth. I'm so stoked. I'm so excited. And that's why I'm going to move to New York City, because I'm looking forward to this wonderful new career that I can build. Now, that's the lens the first person is going there from, the lens of moving towards pleasure, moving towards a better future, moving towards something that matters to him. Now, person two, he is moving to New York City because he is sick and tired of the city he's currently living in. He's like, this is the shabbiest place on the planet. I don't know how I'm living in this mess. I need a fresh restart. I need something that will rejuvenate me. I just cannot continue living here. And so, out of that desperation, out of that frustration, out of that need for escape, this person makes the decision to move to New York City. Now, on paper, both people have made the same decision. They're from similar backgrounds, so they have similar financial abilities as well. So, if one can move to New York, so can the other. That's not the question. Every other external factor is aligned there. The only difference is the internal intention behind the decision. Now, this is a fact you won't really find a lot in a framework for decision making or in a pros and cons list. But this factor actually matters way more than any practical list that you can make. Because think about it, when you're moving towards something, you are going there with the energy of expansiveness, you're going there with the energy of positivity, you're going towards that decision with hope, possibility, energy, strength, resilience, and all of that. Even if the journey is tough, is going to make your decision worth it, because you weren't running away from something you didn't want, you were actively moving towards something that you do want. Now, at the same time, the second person who made the decision to move to New York City, well, he made it out of desperation, out of frustration. Like, I can no longer continue living here. I need to go there. I need to make a fresh restart to my life. But if that's the energy and that's the attitude and that's the don't want feeling that the person is taking to make his decision, is he really going to find the peace that he wants in New York City? Is he really going to find the calmness and the centeredness and the clarity and the purpose and the liveliness and all the things that he's looking for in that city? Well, no, because because the intention of moving to New York City was actually backed by something entirely different. Not moving towards something, but moving away from something he didn't want. Now, on an energetic level, this matters because the energy you bring to your work defines the outcome that you get. I believe in this 100%. So, when I am taking action on my goals, so for example, before I started this YouTube live session, right before I clicked the go live button, I'd closed my eyes for a minute and I'd said, thank you, dear universe, for blessing me with this opportunity to serve, to empower, to help people, and to connect with them, and all the things that I do for you. With that positive mindset of moving towards a positive outcome, I started this session, and that's how my brain has been primed to deliver things to you. But now imagine if I'd made the decision from, I had such a long day today. I don't even like it. A good thing I'm getting to do a YouTube live session now. At least I'll feel better. Now, from that energy, from that running away from something energy, if I'd started this YouTube session, would you have felt the warmth and the connection and the love and the genuine presence that you're feeling right now in this moment? You wouldn't have, because my energy at its source would have been different. So here's what I'm trying to say. You can use as many frameworks as you want, you can use as much logic as you want, you can use as much discussions and arguments and all the stuff that you go through. You can go through all of that to end up making your decision. But regardless of what the outcome is, what matters the most is the intention within your heart, which is either moving towards something positive and something empowering, or running away from something that you don't want. And nobody but you can answer this question the best. Only thing you require is a willingness to be honest with yourself. So if you want to simplify your decisions, right, if you want to simplify your life, the more honest you are with yourself, the more you gain this clarity. Confusion rises from dishonesty. I'm going to repeat that once again. Confusion rises from dishonesty, not with others, but with yourself. The moment you are honest, the moment you can see exactly the kind of energy that's backing your decision, you will have a lot more clarity on what to do. But the simple thumb rule to follow is, if you're making a big change, if you're making a big decision, always let it be something that you move towards, not an option because you have no other thing to do and you have to run away from something else or escape from something else. The energy you carry in your heart will affect the outcome. Be honest with yourself about it and make sure it's the energy of peace, it's the energy of progress, it's the energy of abundance, love, and success. And the answer lies in the one question I've asked you to ponder upon today. So, here's an experiment. Over the next 24 hours before we do our next live session, anytime you're making a sort of big decision, take a pause, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what am I doing? Am I moving towards something I want, or am I running away from something I don't want? And just sit with that question. See what happens. Allow it to sink in deeper and deeper, and you'll find your answer. Your clarity will come in, and the quality of your decisions will go to the next level. I'm telling you, working on your intention, working on your energy, that's the most fundamental. Everything else will align itself. So start working on this fundamental today. Move towards the things that you want. And I hope these live sessions are doing just that for you. So I'll see you tomorrow once again at the same time, 8:30 p.m. India Standard Time, so that we can continue to learn together, grow together, and move towards our best goals. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow once again. Bye.